It's time for World Edition, and I've got my buddy Steve Rao in, so I'll bring him up so he can do the news introductions and all along those lines, and then we'll see what else is going on and who else joins us. But definitely a lot's going on in the world, and I may get to some other news, but we'll see what Steve Rao's got going on since he's here right at the beginning of the show. Hey, Steve.
Good morning, Mark, and welcome to World Edition today. The world in brief is a lot is going on. First of all, an intelligence assessment from the Pentagon reportedly found that American strikes on Iran did not destroy its nuclear program, as Donald Trump earlier declared. It probably only set it back a few months. So we'll see what happens there. NATO leaders have gathered in The Hague for the second day of their annual summit. They're expected to back a sharp rise in defense spending. And a little surprise in New York as Zoran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, has won the Democratic primary for New York City, defeating Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York. Mr. Mamdani's main rival in the primary conceded defeat, so full results are expected to be announced on July 1st. And Mr. Cuomo may still run, but it looks like Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York City. And it's just a disruptive time in American politics. I don't think we all should be surprised that the second term of Donald J. Trump um, is a real surprise. Not a surprise. We've got everything we thought we were going to get: tariffs, massive immigration controls, ICE raids. We never predicted a war with Iran, but now we've got global disruption taking place. So all of these things going on at the same time. And yesterday we did have the third year anniversary of the overturning Roe versus Wade. And there hasn't been much talk about Supreme Court justices retiring, but for the Democrats' sake, I hope all of them can keep on a good exercise program and keep their stress levels down so they can wait for a Democratic president in a few years, if there ever is a Democratic president. And right now, I've been hearing rumors about Andy Beshear, Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. Beshear is the governor of Kentucky. He's one of the traditional top state. And it's going to be interesting times. But this is a disruption, every day. And we need to monitor the situation. We pray for peace in the Middle East, pray for Iran, pray for Israel. And we also pray for our soldiers, many Americans being deployed now to the Middle East. But
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Like you said, Trump apparently is not too happy with either Israel or Iran and all along those lines. And I think he's at the NATO summit. They are saying that oil studies as investors are assessing Iran Israel ceasefire and all along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space. I don't know. I think Zelensky is supposed to meet Trump today and everything. So we'll see what goes on in that. And apparently, NATO is impressing Trump's push for more spending because he definitely wants them to hold up to more of a percentage of spending of their uh, finances in order to balance what America spends. So apparently, the NATO allies agreed to a higher 5% defense spending target. So that'll be interesting to see if that actually works or doesn't work, and all along those lines. But yeah, it's definitely some difficult times that are going on. UK says it's buying 12 jets that can carry nuclear weapons. So UK to purchase the nuclear carrying F-35A fighter jets. So there looks like they're even preparing for next tactical nuclear war and everything like that. So definitely that's something that's going on in the UK. So how are your kids feeling about the state of the world and all along those lines? And are they hopeful for a bright future?
um, I don't know. They they don't talk about it much. I think that maybe they've gotten so used to living in a world that's so disruptive. I think it's harder for a lot of us to see the world change so fast in our before our very eyes.
Right.
My daughter is a journalist, so
Mhm.
she has to cover a lot of this breaking news now for the New York Times. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's going to be. My son never really talks about it. I think he's so focused on his studies and doesn't really seem to follow it that much. And I think they just kind of, uh, you know, toss it to, This is just the crazy world we live in.
Yeah, it is a crazy world. Your the nation that you have affiliations with is actually celebrating a milestone in space. So apparently, India celebrate sending its first astronaut into space after 41 years. So that would have been 41 years would have been 1984, I guess it was, and everything like that. So it's been 41 years since India sent its first astronaut into space and everything like that. So y'all are celebrating that. Shop Hansu Shakla and everything like that. So it looks like maybe that was the astronaut's name. And it looks like 4 astronauts launched to the space station as NASA is grappling with different things going on with its situation as well. So it looks like space travel is still going on. And who knows, maybe we will all go on a space trip and everything like that. I did see some sad news. I meant to get to this yesterday, but a Brazilian was found dead after fallen from an Indonesia volcano. So Juliana Marins, a Brazilian tourist who fell off an Indonesia volcano, and all along those lines, because she was doing some hiking in there, according to her family and everything like that. And apparently, she was abandoned by her tour guide, and that's when she fell into an active volcano and everything like that. So there was definitely some sad news in that sense, and all along those lines.
Yeah, that's so sad. I
It's
mean,
very sad. It's very sad. I did see a funny story that you'll enjoy. I hope Rick comes in as well. I meant to get to it yesterday, but there was some bears that were, I think, captive bears, and they escaped temporarily the zoo that they were in, and they found the stash of honey. So they ate the entire stash of honey, and it was a big stash of honey because it was enough to feed, I think, all the bears at that particular zoo and everything. And they then, like a lot of people, they got the itis and they went to sleep after they ate all of that honey. So they didn't even go that far after they ate all that honey. They just kind of like got the itis and got dozed off because they had eaten way too much of that honey and all along those lines. So there've been some interesting stories. I also saw that I think it was in Cary. There was like a cobra snake that was found, I want to say, near one of the fast food restaurants or something like that. I got to dig that up. But I did find that story yesterday that was kind of hilarious with the bears that were over there and got caught up in that whole mess and decided to have a little bit of a lunch. And when they had lunch, then they went to sleep.
Amazing, amazing. And it's hot here, about 110 degrees.
Is it
I, I
100?
yeah, I ran yesterday. I ran again this morning. When I woke up this morning, I had a 16-hour day yesterday, and then I woke up with cramps in my calves, but I stretched them out, drank some water, still went for a run, and now I feel better. But I've got to take a little rest and then do another 8-hour day. I start my days a little later when I get out of council meetings, 11 at night, and everyone getting nostalgic that it's my last term. But I'm excited about the next adventure, and more and more people saying that I've got a really great chance to win this race. So I'm starting to feel more confident, and raised about good money yesterday on the phone, and I'm going to do my. It's hard to do the call time, but I've got my calling down for dollars. So it's really really boring. I hate that part of the job, but it you got to plug it in and do it right.
You
So
got to do it. Anything. You mentioned the water not seeing a sad story. I forgot which state it was in, but a woman had actually passed away because she had drinking too much water. So you do want to stay hydrated in this kind of hot weather and everything. But like anything, you can overdo it, and all along those lines. So I was just wondering your thoughts around that because I did see it might have been Indiana, but I do know somewhere in the state that somebody had actually. Got caught up in drinking too much water and unfortunately passed away and all along those lines. So you want to be um,
well,
diligent in terms of getting water and in terms of being hydrated and everything. And I've heard some people talk about other type of things that you can add, including electrolytes. And I've even heard
yeah,
some
I may go
people
get some
recommending
Gatorade.
getting Gatorade and stuff like
I
that.
may go get some Gatorade tomorrow. I've been thinking about it just to get those electrolytes in there. 'Cause I sweat so hard, and I drink chocolate milk to recover, and but don't drink enough water. But I might do that. I might go take a run. It's so hot. I don't even want to. Now I'm kind of feeling comfortable, so I'm gonna. I got an 11:30 radio interview, and then take a quick nap, and then head over to the office and work 3 hours. Come back. and then get my suit on and go to an evening meeting. And I've got to write an article for WRL. I'm so behind, so I'm going to try to get that out to them, and might just get that to them tomorrow. And it's just crazy. But it's a crazy time out there, man.
It sounds crazy. What is your thoughts around this New York race? Because I really thought that Cuomo, with his name recognition, would have won and everything like that, but that wasn't the case. So, what is your thoughts around what's going on with Cuomo, and will he run as a third-party candidate and all along those lines? So, what is your take on this New York race? It is one of our bigger metropolitan areas.
Well, it's kind of concerning to me. I look at I think it just shows you the Democratic primaries have really the real progressive parts of the party come in and get very aggressive and really get their people out to vote. And institutional endorsements don't really make that big of a deal when it comes to these primaries. And I think for me, it's actually, I'm getting a lot more of the endorsement across the county in my race. I have the name recognition experience. But what I don't have is the progressive liberal Democratic Party machine behind me. So I think that's concerning for Democrats like me. If you look at even Virginia, one of our friends, LeVar Stoney, who was projected to win, lost handily to a relatively close election to a Middle Eastern woman senator, but she didn't have any of the endorsements. I mean, he had everyone: McAuliffe, Tim Kaine, Buttigieg, everybody, and lost. So I don't know. They just turned the people out, and in this case, Cuomo had all of the, Clintons and other big people, and just.
Well, we've got a big race here in Durham because Mayor Leo is going to be running against none other than Anjanette Bell, who's the former mayor's daughter, and there might be others that'll enter the race as well. But I think that, if I remember correctly, I think it's this weekend that Leo will have his formal announcement. He hasn't formally announced, but he will be formally announcing it, if I remember correctly. And I remember that email I got, and I want to say that that's this weekend. It might be at one of his restaurants that I got to look at. But yeah, most people are thinking that it is his to lose since he is the incumbent and everything. But like you said, a lot will depend on the powers that be and all along those lines in terms of those different groups, whether it's the progressives or whether it's the PAs, the things along those lines and everything. Because I know the People's Alliance, and then there's the Durham Affairs and everything like that. So some of those political action groups could be definitely impactful even in this particular race and all along those lines and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space and what happens with those races. But I don't know what folks' thoughts are. And we do have Rick that has joined us, and we've also got Dr. Sharif, and I've got a question for them. And since I've got you on here and everything, and this is a lighthearted story, but it's not somewhat serious. But what would the three of you gentlemen do? Because it happened in Cary. I was telling Steve about this, and I think it happened 2 days ago. So it was on Monday. So if you were going to a fast food restaurant and you happened to find, maybe you found it or maybe the customers found it, a boa constrictor, what would you do in that situation? Because at Cary, North Carolina, which is a suburb of Raleigh, our state capital, a boa constrictor was found sun-soaking at the McDonald's drive-thru in that particular Cary restaurant. So I'm not, who knows, maybe people were going to get their Big Macs or whatever, and they found that particular boa constrictor and all along those lines, because definitely they did find some people that could.
If I knew it was a boa constrictor, I'd grab it by the tail and drag it away, because boa constrictors don't kill you with venom. They kill you by constricting. So, maybe get a couple people, one on each end, so it can't wrap itself around you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, apparently a delivery friend surprised workers and diners at that McDonald's drive-thru over the weekend. Talena Chavis, the operator of North Carolina Snake Catcher. So there's a whole business about snake catcher, and said a boa constrictor was found sitting just under the pickup window of a Cary's McDonald's. So I'm thinking people, like I said, when they were going to get their food and everything, they ran across that particular.
I'd drag it away and then see if they'd give me a free thing of French fries for my trouble.
Yeah, that might have been what you should have done, or they should have done. Got some free food for the troubles and all along those lines. We were also talking about the race in New York. So, what is your thoughts around this? Because I know that Steve is a little bit concerned about the impact of the progressive wing in the Democratic Party in New York, and apparently a socialist has won, but Cuomo is talking about the possibility of running as an independent.
So everybody's like the conservatives are all up in New York is its own thing,
Right.
and I don't know, the mayor has limited ability to change the city culture, and the city will change him more than he'll change the city is my thing. And New York has had competent mayors, it's had incompetent mayors, and it does make a little bit of actually can make quite a bit of a difference, but I don't know. You got to wait and see what this guy does if he manages to get elected. Right now, New York City is really nice. It's one of America's safest cities. It's expensive as hell, but if you can afford to be there, it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a great place to be, and along those lines. But definitely, it'll be interesting to see what folks have to say about that and everything like that. What are we hearing about the latest from the war? And I know you followed this story, Rick. So, what are you hearing about the Israel situation and what's going on?
Okay, so the ceasefire, they're saying the news says ceasefire has been holding for a couple days. Trump is at NATO, spreading a combination of true stuff and bullshit. He's speaking right now. Intel reports say that Iran's nuclear facilities were not severely damaged, and that they've only been set back a couple of months in their if they're really trying to create nuclear bombs. The nuclear material, the enriched uranium, was because Trump, the Iran had advance notice they were going to get bombed, so they got the uranium out of there. And it's a big country, and uranium only takes up this much space, so the idea that they'd ever be able to pinpoint it and wipe it out is, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and everything like that. What's coming out of the world of Bangladesh, and are y'all dealing with this heat wave? Because we're having a serious heat wave here throughout North America. It's not just Durham, North Carolina, where I think Steve said we got to above 100. And I know that in talking to my mom earlier today, she said that even late last night, like around 11 or 12, it was still around 80 degrees and fairly humid. So we've been dealing with this heat for a while, and I think we're supposed to get up into the high hundreds again today. So what's the weather like in Bangladesh, or are y'all sitting there laughing at us going like they can't handle the heat? Doc?
Oh.
Did Doc disappear?
Oh, he's muted. You're muted. Dr. Sharif, you got to turn on your volume.
Well, he's getting that together. How's the heat doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, Bangladesh situation is good because we are moving for these elections and all of the procedures, but this Iran and this Israel war, definitely it has impact. We are observing, our government is observing. Right now we have like summer, so our weather is good because in these situations actually many local fruits, especially mangoes, jackfruit, many interesting fruits are actually coming, and so people go with this fruit festival and all of the things in Bangladesh. But definitely these Muslim world tensions and these Middle East tensions in between Iran and Israel has a very big impact in our economy, in our cultures and all of the things. I just want to share a summary of Asia. Like today's summary, in terms of diplomacy, we are observing Silk Road Forum in Kazakhstan. China foreign minister go for this forum, and he go for this climate statement and all of the things. In terms of economy, POG minutes like Asia market reactions to the global developments. we have billions of people in Asia Pacific market. So definitely when war comes or any tension come or tariff related problem come, it creates some economic impact, but Asian countries, they are trying to solve themselves with their in between their community. Then I want to share a good conference in terms of energy and tourism summits. It will happen in the Jakarta, also coal and the legal events in Singapore and the Seoul. So Jakarta, as well as Singapore and Seoul, which look like they are very vibrant and many things happening. In terms of urban planning, which is very important, Asia Pacific, many smart city projects is happening right now. Also with my team, with Texas Austins, we are implementing Gaiapolis strategy in Bangladesh and in India. But we are observing Singapore unveil master plan for 2025, what it called this urban plan. So this is good move after these ceasefires and all of the things. But again, I request that lot of things happening, especially we are observing that a lot of challenges. Then for these immigration issues and especially for these tariff issues, it's created a huge impact in Asia. Then we are observing this
all right, frozen. All right, so
we are observing this Pakistan and India. They also get some ceasefire and everything. Then we are observing this Iran and Israel. This is also goes for ceasefire. But that is another good things we see that USA nominate Trump for global peace, right? Global peace, especially for Nobel Prize. This is very interesting for me.
Did you freeze again?
All right. Yeah, but I mean, the idea of anybody can nominate anybody for a Nobel Peace Prize. And what people are saying is that you don't get the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping a problem that you started in the first place. So,
but this is very interesting, right? Like, do you know, like, Rick, you are in USA. Do you know, is there any criteria? I see that Pakistan also nominate Trump for Global Peace Prize. On the other hand, USA also nominate Donald Trump for Global Peace Prize. Is there any criteria?
If you're an academic, if you're a tenured professor, there are lots of people who, under the rules of nominating, can nominate somebody. And a nomination doesn't mean anything.
Oh, so you can nominate me for global peace, right?
Well, no, because I don't have a job. I think you need to be a university professor. You need to have some kind of official position. I have no official position.
Okay.
But if I could, if I were dating a university professor,
I'm like, academicians. I have economical, scientific books and all of the things, and I believe that I'm doing good, not bad.
So let's look up. Let's who can nominate.
See who can nominate that.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Can nominate you.
Yeah, Jyotavi, you can nominate me for my World Talent Economic Forum for Global Peace Prize. At least I want to see that.
Okay, here it is.
I'm looking it up online.
Here's who can nominate: heads of states, members of national governments, university professors, previous winners, and members of international courts. So obviously there are more university professors than any other class of people. There are probably 2 million university professors in America. And all you have to do is let's say I was dating a university professor and I'm like, for my birthday, I would like you to nominate me for the Nobel Prize. And she's like, well, okay. I don't know if it costs anything. There's an application fee that's, I don't know, a couple $100. I don't know. But it's easy to get nominated.
Yeah, let's say I can invite you in Bangladesh and you can, the Bangladeshi professors for any university, and you can nominate me.
Okay, all right. That's the deal. All right, I'm up for it.
So he's gonna make you a university professor, then you'll nominate the doctor.
Yeah. I have research centers. I have research center in Bangladesh under Daffodil International University. So let's say Rick and Jatovi and Mark, you become the professor of my research center, and you.
Oh, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to submit a nomination.
So yeah. So
we have a plan. I've got a question for Jatovi. It's actually unrelated to politics and everything, just for a minute and everything, but it's related to sports. And Rick, you might be interested in this as well. We've got something like 64, now I think it's 68 teams, and they're talking about expanding the NCAA basketball tournament. Are we gonna get to the point where they're just going to invite everybody and all along those lines? Because, like I said, I thought 68 was more than enough, but maybe you've got a different thought.
You got to look at how many NCAA Division I basketball. Let's look that up, because it's a smaller number than you think.
Well, it's all about money. That's really all it is. And yes, 68 is enough. They don't need to add more there. They need to add more into football. They need to get up to 16 teams and stick it with that.
Yeah, 16 in football.
So there are 363 NCAA Division I basketball teams, men's basketball teams. So right now you're inviting about a little more than 1/6 of them.
Yeah,
it's a little bit like the bowl games for football.
Which is the championship that he's talking about. And I agree.
Well, you've got the championship, but you also have the bowl games where you've got there are 263 D1 football teams. And so, the bowl games, there are so many of them that teams with a losing record that are 6-5, so a few of them get invited every year. So, if you expand the field to 128 for March Madness, which I'm fine with that, because March Madness, or expanded to 96, it's mostly an excuse to blow off work, and everybody gathers around their phones and the TV and to watch a million basketball games.
So the thing is, the bowl game reference or comparison doesn't work because you already have the NIT and other actual tournaments that go on at the same time. So you have the NIT that adds on more tournament teams. But the thing is, the NCAA doesn't run the NIT in a sense, but they also don't have the other tournaments that other teams go to.
So you're kind of screwing. If you expand the field, you're screwing the NIT, because then you're limiting them to the lower tier teams.
Well, you're even taking away the lower tier. There's no reason to go to the NIT at all. There are a lot of teams that are already turning down the NIT, but the problem adding more teams is adding more time. And that runs into a big problem because there's no way to negotiate that time. And it just takes away from the season. It's already set at 68. Adding more wouldn't do anything to help.
No, I've been thinking about this, and I know how to fix it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter the number of teams. What you need to do is have a TV show that runs at the same time, and it's called March Madness Island. And you make sure the men's and the women's teams are playing at the same place at the same time, and then you put cameras on them, and you basically see who hooks up with who. And you've got you turn it, everybody's, when they're not playing basketball, they're sitting around a pool in little bikinis, and everybody's hitting on everybody, and you just turn it into a reality show.
So you make it a reality show, or Las Vegas, the old TV show, you make it another example of Las Vegas.
I have something to share. As I'm very interested about Nobel Peace Prize, so we can declare our course from today's sessions. Let's say in my research center in Bangladesh, definitely I teach in Paris and in Dubai and definitely in USA. So Rick can join as a trainer for script writing, and he has Hollywood experience, right? It's actually priceless in my communities. Jatovi can come up with his
That's fine. I'll come teach a seminar. You can make me faculty someplace, and I'll nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize. Let me give an example. Caitlin Clark comes from a very conservative background, but we have never seen. She's in the pros now, but back in college, we've never seen her date anybody. We don't know who she likes. But if you could get Caitlin Clark, on March Madness Island, catch her making out with somebody, in the March Madness lounge, that would be huge.
Yeah, well, that could be an idea and everything. I think I like Doc's Nobel Prize better and everything. But one of the other things that's gone really big with the sports world as well as the entertainment world is later on we have modern investment, and we got all these corporations that are now in charge of the bowl. So are we going to get the NVIDIA? Are we going to get the NVIDIA bowl soon and everything, or has NVIDIA already got its own bowl?
We can bring this all of the games and everything. Sasha can bring the investment class, and you, Mark, you can bring this media.
Yeah, bring the media and the event planning to the events.
This will be interesting. No, I'm not actually. It's fun. I'm not interested about Nobel Peace Prize anyway, but I'm interested how we can just contribute. If you're interested, I can invite you in my research center. Yeah.
Okay. So I just looked it up,
and you can find a very good audience, like the defense, government agency, stock exchange, many students, even media persons. They attend in my class and conference.
All right. So we got to get back to politics, but But before we do that, you can buy a football bowl game for $500,000. So if Jeff Bezos, who's getting, billionaire, getting married this weekend or just got married, if he wanted to name the I Got Married Bowl, it would cost him very little of his money to do that. But okay, to get back to politics. So LA has been very unhappy with ICE grabbing people off the street here. And the LA Times just came out with an article. They looked at ICE grabbed 700 people in the first half of the month off the street. And the promise of Trump and everybody is that they're getting rid of hardened criminals. So they did a survey of who was getting pulled, and 69% of the 700 people pulled off the street had never had any criminal charges filed against them. Only 7% had been charged with a violent crime. So for every one dangerous criminal they pull off the street, you have 10 people who've never done anything wrong.
But Rick, you've got people self-deporting because you can look it up. I think there was a Purple Heart.
Okay, this guy, the guy you're talking about.
Right.
This is a guy came to America as a teen 50 years ago. Right. He goes to war for the U.S., I think is in the Marines. He gets shot twice fighting for the U.S. 15 years ago, he had a drug charge against him that was related to PTSD because he'd been shot in the war. Right. And he's been clean for 15 years, but ICE says you got to go. So after 50 years of living here, he's going back to South Korea, a country he hasn't been to since 1975.
And he's self-deporting himself over there and everything like that. So like I said, they are grabbing some interesting folks and everything like that.
He's got 2 adult kids here. He's a perfectly good citizen.
They're grabbing some interesting
citizenship.
Mark, if you have melanin in your skin, if you may have an accent from a country south of the border, I mean, we got to just be honest.
Yeah, that's true. They're grabbing black and brown.
Sasha, I have some question for Sasha.
Yes.
Sasha, are you ready? Yeah. This is maybe personal. I think that you will not shout on me or something. Anyway, so this is that you visit Israel or you have your family member in Israel right now?
No.
Oh, okay. So you lost your family member or any friends or anyone in World War I or something in Germany, or you have any connections with that problem?
My wife's family was completely eliminated. It was in Latvia in 1940.
Okay. I actually read lot of article and many things, some things controversial. I just want to know from you because maybe you, as you have experience or your wife family has experience, you can share what happened because this history also important. I share it with my audience. Maybe many Muslim community can understand what happened in 1940.
In 1940, it was the beginning of Second World War. As you know, September 1939. There was a secret protocols to Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact between Germany and Soviet Union. And according to this protocol, Europe would be divided on a certain sphere of influence or actual um, taking over certain countries by Germany and certain countries by Soviet Union. The Baltic republics, the Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia were assigned to be taken over by Soviet Union, which it did in early 1940. As soon as that happened, uh, there was obviously, like in many other countries, anti-Semitism in these Baltic republics and specifically in Latvia. So a lot of atrocities against Jews were committed not actually by Germans, but rather by Latvians themselves. And same situation in many other countries. So the anti-Semitism today is not much different from anti-Semitism of 1940s. So my wife's family was all killed by Latvians in 1940s as a result of this anti-Semitic pogroms and atrocities. And then later on, Germans moved in when they started to attack against Soviet Union. So they decided, of course, to attack the Baltic republics, as well as Ukraine, as well as Moldova, and many other territories. And in fact, they went almost all the way to Moscow, and it was a very crucial moment in history of Second World War when Germans could take the Moscow, but failed to do so, and that was quite a big event, which was responsible for outcome of all war.
Hey, Doc and Sasha, there's an old saying, and Jacoby's probably going to know where I'm going to go with this, and it's based on what you just said and all along those lines. But there is a saying in the African American, I think it's even in the brown communities as well, that all skin folks ain't kin folks, and all along those lines, which means that a lot of times it is people in your own race or your own class that can be your worst enemy and everything like that. We saw that in slavery, and you're saying that was the case in a lot of the situations in Latvia and even in Germany, meaning that there are a lot of times that people self-hate within their own group and everything like that. I'm sure that even Doc, you've seen that in some Muslim communities as well and everything like that. So I just wanted y'all's take on that, because that is a very popular saying that is in the black and brown community, which is that all skin folks, meaning all people that look like you, aren't necessarily those that are going to back you.
Possible?
I mean, so the Nazis were well known for using, so in like the Warsaw Ghetto and in the concentration camps, there were capos. Capos were Jews appointed by the Nazis to oversee the killing and the repression of their own people. But it was either do that in the camps or immediately be slaughtered along with everybody else. So can you blame the capos? Not exactly, because it's just they were doing it under threat of death.
Mm-hmm. And that oftentimes what happens is people, either they're doing it for their own financial benefit because they're people that are part of the
But it's
oppressed. They
not
do it for their
financial.
financial reasons, or they
it
do
was
it for
not-
survival.
but not financial. It was either you lead these people to the ovens or to the gas chambers, or you get in the gas chamber yourself.
Right, and that has definitely been the case and everything like that. Hey, Doc, I got a question for you, and I don't know the answer, and maybe you know the answer. But who, to your question that you just asked Sasha and everything, who is in your mind in Bangladesh? Who is considered the leaders? Because I don't think it can be one leader; it's probably several leaders. But who is the leaders of the Islamic or the Muslim community at this particular date and time? And like I said, I've heard different people talk about Hezbollah. I've heard people talk about Hamas. I've heard people talk about different groups and everything. But who do you see as the leaders of that community? Doc? Did Doc freeze?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So can we go back to until he unfreezes? Let's go back to ICE detention. NBC News has an ICE a detention tracker. So in the first 6 months of Trump's presidency, we have 56,000 migrants in ICE detention. This is about 0.5% of all the undocumented immigrants in the U.S. That's 0.5% of 11 million. Of these 56,000, 28.6% have criminal convictions, and it could be for anything. It could be for attempted murder, but it also could be for a DUI, driving while drunk. 25% have pending criminal charges. So almost half of all these people in detention don't have any criminal charges, besides the whatever ICE is hanging on them for being caught being in the U.S.
Is there been any
Again, Rick, you said half of them don't have criminal charges. Well, according to this administration, their charge is the color of their skin.
Yeah. Well,
we have to be honest. I mean, at some point, we have to point out what Stephen Miller is, because we know his background. We know Stephen Miller put together this whole immigration process in the first place, and he's made the push to do this. And so we know the history around Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller has been a well-documented white nationalist, or I'm sorry, a white nationalist, which is a tampered down version of a white supremacist. It's the same thing.
All right. So Stephen Miller went to Santa Monica High School, which I'm sure is one of the great public high schools to go to, because everybody is rich and blonde, right? But Stephen Miller sticks out there for being awkward and creepy. And in high school, and you can read about this, there's a whole oral history of Stephen Miller in high school. He starts espousing terrible, conservative, racist policies, and he starts getting on the radio and on TV, and he gets attention, and he likes it. And so he started forming his current awfulness, more than 20 years ago in high school. In high school, he would purposefully just throw garbage on the ground, and people his classmates are like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "That's what janitors are for." So he's been a dick his whole life. And yeah, he's a psycho.
So I'm just, Mark, if you can bring this up. This gentleman did a great breakdown. I highly recommend people get a chance to take a look at this, because he did a great breakdown about the first 100 days, and he's actually a great YouTuber. He does a great breakdown on a lot of different things, but this is the first 100 days, and we're just going to look at a small snippet of it, just because it is 18 minutes, but we'll look at a few minutes of it. And, I mean, we can discuss on it, but
first 100 days in office have been a whirlwind.
But the stuff
He's signed executive orders. He's held chaotic press conferences. He's defied court orders and even made at least one car ad.
Everything's computer.
I'm calling it now. The word of the year will be unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
But in this video, I don't want to focus on the random stuff. I want to focus on patterns. A specific pattern that comes with a label that has been following Donald Trump for decades. Racist.
Are you a racist?
I don't know, but for years, people have been calling Donald Trump one. From a New York City housing discrimination lawsuit in the 70s to rumors of frequent N-word use on the set of The Apprentice, he's given his critics plenty to debate over. But whether or not Trump is a bigot on a personal level is irrelevant to me. I'm not here to psychoanalyze him. I don't care what's in his heart or what's on his mind. What I care about is what's on the record. Policy, action, power. So in this video, I want to look at exactly that, the documented, captured, explicit, and implicit acts of bigotry during Trump's first 100 days. The independent media organization Contraband Camp did an incredible job of putting together a list of some of the questionable, if not outright racist actions taken by this administration since they took office on January 20, 2025. I was inspired to make this video because of their report, so you can find the link to it down in the description. But in order to effectively track the Trump administration's bigoted actions, they also put together a simple three-part methodology. First, their report focuses on the impact of his policies. That is, the effects that they will have on specific communities. Second, they chronicled the policies that were designed to reverse protections against discrimination, what they're calling reverse racism. And third, they used the Merriam-Webster definitions of the words discrimination and racism as a grounding for how they defined what was and wasn't racist from this administration. I think their report is spot on. So without further ado, this is Trump's first 100 days, racism edition. Let's dig in. Today's video is sponsored by Ground News. More on that later. Day number 1. Just hours after Trump's inauguration, Elon Musk performs what looks like a Nazi salute behind the official seal of the President of the United States of America. 6 million Jewish people were exterminated at the command of people who did this exact same salute. And yet the ADL makes an excuse for Musk. That same day, Trump signs a host of executive orders, like Executive Order 14151, which terminates all DEI-related programs in the federal government, or Executive Order 14160, which seeks to end birthright citizenship for people born in America. He also signs Executive Order 14164, which calls the death penalty an essential tool. On that exact same day, he rescinds a ton of orders, like Executive Order 13985, titled Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Underserved Communities. He rescinds Executive Order 14031, titled Advancing Equity, Justice, and Opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. He also rescinds Executive Order 14069, which promotes pay equity and transparency. Day 2, January 21st, 2025. Trump continues his attack on DEI, calling diversity, equity, and inclusion illegal discrimination without evidence. I made an entire video about this topic, so consider watching that one next. Day 3. Trump's Department of Justice halts all investigations into police misconduct and freezes all pending civil rights cases. It's important to note that almost every time the DOJ has investigated police departments across the country, they found rampant, verifiable examples of racist practices that almost always impact Black people specifically. And to freeze all pending civil rights cases means that they believe that there is either no discrimination in this country, or they simply do not care to bring justice for those who have been discriminated against. Day 7, Trump signs Executive Order 14185, titled Restoring America's Fighting Force. It ends DEI in the U.S. military and announces plans to target people who promote what the Trump administration calls gender ideology. Day 11, Trump blames an airline collision in D.C. on DEI, blaming Barack Obama and insinuating that mentally disabled people were somehow responsible as well.
But as you see, he goes and he does a great detailed breakdown of each day and each executive order that comes about. And this is why I'm saying a lot of stuff that is being done, we just have to be honest about it. And we have to stop sugarcoating things, because if we keep continually sugarcoating it, then it never gets fixed.
So I want to go back to my stats for a second. So of 11 million undocumented immigrants to the U.S., they've rounded up 0.5% of those, and half of those have criminal charges either pending or they've been convicted. So you're looking of the undocumented immigrants, they've 0.25% that they've found and rounded up. That is 1 in 400 is a criminal, which, if you live in LA, which is lousy with Latinos and with, you have to assume a large percentage of them are undocumented. And we are not ridden with crime. We don't, we have homeless people pooping places, but that's not what,
that's not what they're being rounded up for and everything.
The deal is, hold on, let me just get to the point is that the Trump's people promised to stop a crime wave by rounding up illegals. The trouble is illegals, for the most part, are here to work and not cause trouble. So they haven't been able to find this wave of criminals because they don't exist.
This is why, again, they have, this is why I point out, they have demonized undocumented immigrants from the start. They have made anybody with brown skin and a funny accent into a criminal. They have, from running with illegal aliens. Illegal is the first trigger word that gets everybody to think that they are criminals. Why can't we call them undocumented immigrants, which they are? I mean, that's technically the term that
the term, Toby. But just really quickly, because we do have Steve back and everything, and I did want to bring this to Steve's attention as well, because there are a number of folks, and I know you brought this up, Steve, that are have legitimate immigration papers, some of them for businesses. I think it's the NH, or you know the one I'm talking about and everything, but a lot of the Indian population has that. So I just wondered, what is your take on the immigration issue, since it is an issue that is directly impacting even legitimate immigrants from India? And I know that you come from that background and everything. So what is your take on this whole immigration situation?
Well, I've written on this issue extensively, and I've been writing a lot more on AI the last year on Bookwire, WRL. But this is an issue in North Carolina that is really a complex one. But there is a lot of Indian immigrants from India that are here on what they call the H-1B visa.
Right. That's
these are issues. Yeah, these are issues that are given to skilled immigrants. It's a lottery. They grant about 88,000 a year in the United States. I would say there's probably 20,000 in just Research Triangle that are here, been waiting for 10, 12 years, still can't get their citizenship to get the green card, and there's a backlog. So if you came from India today, it would take you 150 years to become a citizen. So many of these folks are working in STEM industries, technology, life sciences, biotech, really, really exciting. They're doing this, and they want to stay in the country. Now we see Sasha Star here from Canada. A lot of them now are leaving, going to Canada, going to other countries where they can be get a work permit. But while this is going on, there's also illegal immigration, and these are immigrants that are here illegally. Now, some of them, ironically, ICE, which has been coming to North Carolina, has been raiding the homes of places where workers from these Indian restaurants are. Some of them have hired some of these people, or they're working in these restaurants. If they're Hispanics, they might be working in the agriculture industry, lawn maintenance, restaurants. Well, they're coming in and cracking down and creating a lot of fear in these communities. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, said he didn't like to see Indians cuffed and put in, they shackled up and sent to prison. But we must admit they are not here legally. So I think we have to all realize that the laws of our country say that you have to go through the proper process to become an immigrant, just like my parents. So that's what's going on. And I really think what it's going to take, I'll end with this. I believe that it's going to be enforcement. It's going to be a congressional action. And the House and the Senate working with the president to offer a comprehensive immigration reform bill rather than just running ICE raids in here, shackling people up. And so it's become a political football, a dirty word, and a litmus test now whether you're a Republican or Democrat. And I think it's terrible, and we'll see what happens.
The
Yeah, just
current,
really quickly.
for that to happen, it will take at least until 2027 because the Republicans will never offer immigration to this current crop. No. The last time we had comprehensive reform was 1984, 41 years ago, under Reagan, back when the two parties still kind of worked it with each other. But the people in play, our kid is 30 now, but when she was a little kid, the people who helped raise her, we didn't ask their immigration status, but they were people come, like if you're here in LA and you snuck into the country, you don't want trouble. You want to work. You're here to make money. You're here to have kids maybe who can be citizens. These people, for the most part, as we know, it's been long established that immigrants, whether legal or not, commit less crime per capita than native-born Americans.
Yeah, just really quickly, because I know we're winding down. You said you had also written some papers on AI, and I know we've talked about that, and maybe we'll just get a little bit of your perception on that for now, and maybe we'll delve more into this on Thursday and Friday. But what have the papers been saying about AI?
Well, let me tell you, and thank you for asking, Mark. And I think that what we're seeing at a really high level is AI, innovation in AI is occurring at an unprecedented pace. This is affecting the role of workers in our economy, basic tasks, call center jobs, marketing jobs. These are jobs that, as we know of today, are going to be gone, are going to change drastically. Today, AI can be generating content. It can be doing really, really great stuff, creating music, creating art. Now, if it's used correctly, it can have tremendous increases in productivity. An example is in Morrisville, we're using Microsoft Copilot. We no longer are having to draft emails. The AI does it for us. It saves time for staff members that can work on different things. So emails, you're not sitting in an office doing email. You're getting more of your work done, whether you're in permitting, public works, parks and recreation, administration, right? So we need to have an AI strategy, one that is bringing productivity, offering and enhancing services to residents, whether it's chatbots, things like that. Addressing the ethics issues, security, whether the AI can be weaponized, very, very scary. Could it take over defense systems and things like that? Could it be used? You could take someone's voice and put it as someone else's with the deep fake, and all of a sudden you would have a real scare on your hands. This was tried during the last presidential campaign when Joe Biden's voice came on and said, "Don't go vote." And they found it wasn't him. It was done by a guy in New York. So I think that's really what's going on in AI. But the final thing I'll say is that the amount of innovation, $79 billion in Silicon Valley funding AI startups. Many jobs can be created, but the role of work is changing. And this is happening very fast. So jobs are being automated faster way than we can replenish them. And there needs to be a strategy in place. And I'm hoping we can get back on the show to doing, I know Dr. Sharif has had some AI shows, and so I think the time is right for this. But anyway, Rick Rosner, you can finish off. Thank you. Sorry, I went over my time.
All right, so you bring up AI. The deal is where government isn't competent to make decisions in the future, AI will. If humans do not act in a competent way, and right now our government is not particularly competent on a national level, people will turn to things outside the government. And one of those things is AI. If humans can't get their shit together, that gives AI more of a foothold. We have a responsibility next time around to elect people who aren't idiots.
Dr. Sharif, you're on mute.
I just want to add a final comments on that. Like we invent Kokoro, why I'm in Bangladesh right now. Kokoro is a Japanese word, big heart technologies. We are working with some famous scientists from USA, me, and some Japanese scientists with UN University. So we believe in human wisdom. AI work like a tool. definitely AI is by make our life very productive. So what you are discussing about that government efficiencies, right now we are observing many think tanks helping government to develop their policy and all of the things. But with this Kokoro, like any people or any countries, like let's say Bangladeshi scholar or Indian scholar or American scholar or Japanese scholar, we can use their wisdom and we can solve any kind of complex problem with our Kokoro. That is our objective. So we do focus on human wisdom, and definitely AI will play a role to connect all of the human wisdom. Let's say Rick has his own wisdom, Steve has his own wisdom, Mark has his own wisdom. Maybe with your wisdom, we can solve any complex problem of Bangladesh corporations or Indian politics or Middle East crisis. So we want to do these things, and I get a huge response from around the world with this Kokoro. So I want to welcome you all for using this software, and hopefully we can be a very good collaborator for this particular things.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know we're going to get on out of here and everything. I know that at 1 o'clock we'll have Modern Investment with Sasha Starr. I think Milan will be on there as well because they're some of the regulars. I think Jim Eid might be in Norway, so it might just be the two of them, but we'll see who else shows up and all along those lines. But right now we're going to get on out of here, and we'll be seeing y'all on Modern Investment at a later hour at 1 o'clock on this particular afternoon. We've also got another online dinner party that'll be coming your way at 4. But right now, let's get on out of here, and we'll see you on tomorrow, Dr. Sharif. So good to see you, and we'll see you on tomorrow.